Hello and welcome to the 5 Minute Film Club, and welcome back to my 501 must-see movies, looking at 1968's 2001, A Space Odyssey. The film of the story starts with the dawn of the human race and ends with a giant human fetus floated in space beside the Earth. How on earth can I tell you the story of this film? I can't. I just don't think I can do it justice. So what I recommend you do is, if you haven't seen 2001, go and watch it now, or if you haven't watched it for a long time, refresh your memory, and then come back. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to delve into the production details very heavily to do with this film, as I feel like that has been discussed many times, probably better than I can do in a short video like this. What I'm going to do is just talk about the experience I had watching this, or rewatching this, in 2021. Watching this film through my eyes, this is what I thought of the film. The film is a collaboration between science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke and filmmaker Stanley Kubrick. Kubrick had wanted to make a science fiction film that would have its grounding in science fact. He wanted to tell an epic tale about the human race and our relationship with technology and the destructive force it can hold on us. He had just made Dr. Strangelove, and that dealt with the greatest threat of the day, which was nuclear war. He was fascinated about that power, but also really scared of it, and what the future with that power would bring. 2001 was originally planned as an epic fictional documentary that would have a narrator explaining the history of how humanity came to conquer the skies, in a similar way to 1962's film How the West Was Won. Kubrick and Clarke worked on the story originally from 1964, using Clarke's short story The Sentinel as inspiration, with the idea being that Clarke would release his novel of 2001 to complement the release of the film, but with production delays of over 16 months and $4.6 million on top of their original budget, things got moved about a bit, and it meant that the novel was released slightly later. I'd never read the novel before watching 2001 for the first time, so when I picked this film to review this year, I wanted to read it. And reading it for the first time and then watching the film again back to back gave me a much greater understanding of the story, of course, but understanding that the film and the book kind of were there originally to complement each other. They're always seen as one thing in the minds of Clarke and Kubrick. They were one story told in two different ways. Clarke's novel fills in all of the blanks that Kubrick, purposefully exercised from the film. During the edit, I think Kubrick felt freed up to create a film that was more a purer cinematic experience than the one if he'd included everything that is in Clarke's novel. If you want that, if you want all of the explanations about things, they're all there, they're just in the novel. So experience the film, read the novel, and think of them as one thing. I first watched this film when I was probably too young to take it all in, but it's a film that will let you bring whatever you want to it. And that's the power of the film and the story it's telling. This time around, I was really struck by the physical and emotional distance between the characters in the film. And I think that is definitely down to the past 18 months of living through the coronavirus pandemic. Whereas before, when watching this film, I found it rather cold, this time I found myself being emotionally engaged while the characters are calling home on big video screens or having birthday party messages beamed into space. Time and technology has caught up to the minds of Kubrick and Clarke finally. What I also love about the film is how ordinary space travel is for the people in it. They are not amazed by feats that we're seeing, and they take it for granted. And I think that is definitely the message that Kubrick and Clarke wanted to get across to the audience. That there's these big ideas and big things that we can do with technology, but maybe we are just sleepwalking into the power that we have accumulated. That sounds quite Michael Crichton, Jurassic Park ideas. But, there's always that pull between science and humanity and what we can do, maybe sometimes we shouldn't do. There's the scene where Dr. Hayward is fast asleep while he's on his mission to the moon. And it's just like somebody on, a train to Paddington or whatever. He is completely unimpressed with the technological feat that made it possible. There's also comedy in this film as well. What's the one thing that you always want to ask an astronaut? Well, it probably is, how'd you go to the toilet in space? Well, there is a big sheet of instructions next to the zero-gravity toilet in 2001, and there is comedy in the banality of space travel in this film, and that is brilliant. Aside from the story, which encompasses about 1 million years of evolution in a single jump cut, and the fantastic models from future silent running director Douglas Trumbull that still make this film a must-watch. Seeing it this time around in its fantastic, glorious 4K remaster just makes me wish that I could see this. This should be an exhibition film. This should never be off the big screen, as that's where this film lives, I think. I would love to see this projected in IMAX. It was originally, shot in 65mm and projected in the Cinerama, a kind of early IMAX format. And just to imagine watching that, over 10-minute long Stargate sequence in IMAX, that would be amazing. Now, you don't need me to tell you that 2001 is a must-watch film, as it most definitely is. It's proof that cinema can reach the heights of the traditional art forms, and just like Citizen Kane, it inspired a whole host of filmmakers to make better films. I didn't expect to have this kind of strong reaction when I rewatched the film, and I think, watching it through the lens of coronavirus, it does alter the experience of many films that I've watched in the past 12 months. But maybe it's this one that's hit me in a way that I never expected it to. I also read Peter Kramer's amazing BFI Classics book about the film, and that gave me a greater understanding of its cultural impact at the time as well in 1968. And the fact that kind of the myth is that the film found an audience in the drug culture, the young, the art movement of New York and stuff in the late 60s, early 70s. And whereas that's true of kind of who came to it, but in probably the early 70s. Originally, this film found an audience in everybody. Kubrick received letters from priests and ordinary housewives telling him how much the film meant to them, for completely different reasons as well. Now, I'm sorry I haven't delved into the production of the film in detail, as I have done in other videos, but I just wanted to express my thoughts and feelings about watching this film again, and hopefully encourage you to do the same thing in the comments down below. If you haven't seen 2001, go and watch it, and then let me know your thoughts about it. If it's one of those films that you've just been putting off because of its reputation, just like Citizen Kane, don't. Never be scared of a film because of its reputation. Go and watch it with your own eyes. Don't take on anybody else's opinions. Sit down and just see what happens. What experience you have will be an experience that is yours and yours alone. And I'd love to know your experiences. So please let me know in the comments down below. My film from the 501 Must-See Movies book that I'll be looking at next is The Train, John Frankenheimer's 1960s action adventure starring Burt Lancaster. I've watched this now twice and think it's fantastic, and I could watch anything with Burt Lancaster in. But until next time, I'll say thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.